Hey guys, thanks for tuning in at 78 degrees. It's June 5th, 2015. It's about 9:30 at night. I'm on the I75 going southbound towards Fort Myers, Florida. And I hope everybody's doing great. Like I say, 78 at 9:30 at night. Southern Florida. Beautiful. Where I am now, I could just drive all the way and end up to the friggin' Everglades or down to Key West. I'm only really about from here, about 5.5 hours from Key West, Florida. I'm about 3.5, now I'm about 2.5 hours from Miami, Florida. The West Coast, down like on the side where weapons education, like West Palm Beach in that area, East Coast, I think that is. I'm probably about 3 hours away. Been there many times. That whole area in there, I've been in there. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. And guys, today, my subject is common sense creation. And when I say common sense creation, I'm going to bring something up, and I'm going to start this preface with the beginning of this drive-by and say, I'm not a born-again Christian. I'm not even a good Christian or a good Catholic. I haven't been in church for 10 years. I pray. I believe in a superior power and good and right and wrong. So with that, let me start the video. I'm going to say one thing, and then anybody out there, leave a comment, let me know. You can tell me if you agree with me or you don't agree with me, and then I'm going to continue this. But that's just the whole preface of this drive-by. We are basically animals, right? Homo sapiens, but a higher form. And plants, green trees, stuff that trees and flowers. The plant kingdom, the animal kingdom. People require oxygen. I mean, they have to breathe it in through their nose. It goes into their lungs. It goes into the air sacs. It's highly diffusible membrane. The oxygen gets removed. The carbon's left behind. The oxygen combines with the iron in the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin passes through the body and goes to the cells, and the oxygen is stripped off. Okay, and the hemoglobin goes to the body, returns the carbon that's exhaled through your lungs into your air. It's generic, but it's kind of how it works. That's why smokers have a hard time breathing, or people with lung problems. Okay, they take in CO2, right, which is carbon dioxide, which means dioxide, 2 oxygen atoms, 1 carbon. We get our carbon from our food. We don't get our carbon from our air. That's why we don't take the carbon. We get our carbon, based foodstuffs that we eat. Your steak, your milk, your cheese, your eggs. Okay, we take that carbon and that goes into our body to build our tissue and everything. Okay. All right. So we got that straight. So we release CO2. Okay. Into the air. We take into O2, right, which is oxygen from the air. Okay. Combines with that carbon, and we let out CO2. Okay, got it? We don't take in CO2, we don't use that. The carbon atom, is in the bloodstream. I can't remember exactly how the gases flow, but you're taking in O2, you're letting out CO2. So you're taking in the oxygen, it's grabbing the oxygen in the blood, letting out the CO2, okay? So, and O3 is ozone. It's allotropic form of oxygen. It's ozone, and that's another that products from the ultraviolet. It breaks up. But anyway, you take an O2, you let CO2 out. Okay, the CO2 comes out of the body, right? Goes into the air. Some of it gets absorbed by the ocean. Some of it has chemical reactions in the air with other compounds, forms other things. But a high degree of it gets taken in by plants. Because plants take in CO2, carbon dioxide. they, through sunlight in their leaves, the sunlight, the ultraviolet radiation from the sun, through chemical processes, split the CO2 apart. And they get energy from that splitting, produces energy, in the plant. Then after that split, it lets out O2. So, you see what it's doing? It gets some nutrients from the ground too, the roots and stuff. It gets the carbon, like taking that carbon atom, and that plant basically lives that way. Okay, so that is the whole process. Now, let's move on to the whole premise of what we were talking about here. Man lets out O2, plants take in, man lets out CO2, plants take in CO2 and let out O2. We will die without oxygen. Plants will die without carbon dioxide. Okay? Just remember that. So, how did this come about? Why? If you just think about how that is something that seems kind of elementary and simple, but it's all basis of life. Okay? Plants take in CO2, let out oxygen. We take in oxygen, let out CO2. That's survival. How, guys? Some people would think, okay, it's evolution. And this is when I look at things here, I say evolution, okay. Why does one animal use O2, and one animal uses CO2? How could that randomly occur? I just don't see it, guys. Randomly, that is going to occur. I don't know. I just can't. For the life of me, looking at everything, and guys, I got a science background. I was a pharmacy major, and I was in the service, and I had laboratories, and I can make nitroglycerin, Petri dishes, and chemicals, and I'm basically like a little mini scientist too. So I have a very good chemistry background. Biology, evolution, I know all the theories, acid cycles, Krebs cycle, everything, okay, mutations and genetics and Darwinism and ethics and dying and Plato and Aristotle and the whole shot, separation of mind and body and all this. But when I look at that fact, and then I look around me, and I look at a dog even, and I look at that dog, I say, go get your toy, it runs and gets its toy. Or it wants to go outside, it scratches. Or I have a dog that gets him in the middle of the night and barks because he wants to get covered up. And then I go and I cover him up. Something that inconsequential and small. How did that come about? And when they say evolution, I don't get it. I can't believe it's evolution. I think there's a greater scheme of things. Everything just looks too ordered. It's too ordered. It's just like, look at a city, how a city is built. Well, we got speed limits, we got taxes. Maybe we have a system, and that is like saying that system can come by accident. Can't happen, guys. Everything has order. Nothing arrives out of chaos, except more chaos. So I'd like to know what you think. And you can hear. You're going to go on and on for everything else, but. I also have another thing. How do we know for a fact the laws of physics are the same on Earth as they are in space? Just by what we observe? We could be observing something from space that's different because we're observing it that way. Put it here, it might be different. People say you can't time travel, can't go faster than the speed of light. No, I think you can go faster than the speed of light. It's just that we haven't discovered it yet. We're a very insignificant, minute planet, and we have relatively limited intelligence. We really do, if you think about it. I think if everybody put their intelligence to something constructive, they could really clear all world hunger. Everybody would have insurance. Nobody would have to walk around with their teeth falling out because they can't afford it. But we don't have that yet. We're not to that stage yet. So we have not, come of age or matured. And I would just like you. Whether you're a creationism, a Darwinism, evolutionist. And if you're an evolutionist, you should specify if you're a probiotic or prebiotic evolutionist. And let me bring that up. Probiotic evolutionist is basically before life formed. So if you were a probiotic evolutionist, you basically would say, well, one-celled organisms developed on their own in the muck, and they grew legs, and they crawled out, and they made salamanders, and then the salamanders were in a hot climate, and they turned into monkeys over the years of evolution, and the monkey turned into the person. You know, you're believing, you know, something divine, not something divine, but evolution, but in a prebiotic. If you believe in postbiotic, that's after. So let's say all the animals and the frogs and the men were created and they were there. Then, you know, maybe they got separated by the islands. One person's skin got darker. One guy's nose got longer. One guy had a longer pecker or whatever, fingers, or, you know, whatever. So they changed. And that's kind of when you talk to Darwinism. Darwinism is not talking about prebiotic evolution. They're talking about postbiotic. So he has a lot of credence, yes. These birds on this one island that were separated from these birds on this island, their beaks became longer, stuff like that. Yeah, that's postbiotic evolution. That's evolution that occurs, yes. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything divine in that. That's just after it's there. It's sort of like after you buy your car, you add a set of hubcaps, you know, you tint the windows, put a nice stereo in there, and you're cruising. That's kind of like that. That's kind of like what postbiotic evolution is. You can even get post-evolution. You can get the biotic out of it because you might be, you know, but that basically biotic life. So that's what you have to look at. And when we're looking at prebiotic evolution, you're going to have to tell me how prebiotic evolution created people to take in CO2, let out O2, and plants to take in O2. Why that? Why? Because it only could be. Now, there's another theory that when I was in college, I thought of this actually in high school, and I should write a paper on it. I never did. But, you know, I have a theory, and it's called the theory of randomness. Now, the theory of randomness goes like this, and I did copyright it, means I filled it out and sent it to myself, so I have it in an envelope that I never opened. So that's just as good as a copyright for a certain period of time. But the theory of randomness starts like this. Everything is because that's the only way it can be. Okay. You know, when the universe was created, the inventor, the creator, he created it in a certain way. And that way he created it was the only way it could be. So, you have to listen to this. It wasn't like, you know, one oxygen atom bouncing off a helium atom and bouncing over here. It made a strand of DMA, and then, no. It could only combine with a certain substance. It's affinity, it's program, it's blueprint. So it only could be, and that's why I say random theory of evolution or creation. It could only be the way it is. And it's not evolution. It's more sort of like a pre-programmed divine creationism. Meaning there's a plan. This is the way it's going to be. And depending on where in the universe you are, what planet, it will be different. So if you were an organism that was created or designed, well, I don't want to even get into that. So let's say, there's nothing in the whole universe, okay? nothing. Just a bunch of matter. We're going to put it like this. But that matter can only combine in certain ways to create a certain thing. But that matter has been pre-programmed to do that. So, like the positive and negative terminals of a magnet, right, would attract each other, just like the same signs would repel each other. And that's the only way it could be. But on Earth, maybe, because the conditions here, for that to happen is the only way. Now, on another planet, there might be a different set of conditions where minus and minus do not repel. So that is, and it seems kind of difficult, but it's not. It's going by, things are the way they are because they are the only way they can be. It's not leaving it up to that primordial bowl of soup saying we have millions of chemicals in there, we have this kind of electricity, this combined to form a frog, this combined to make a protozoa, and this set of conditions. No. They were only all the way they could be, and that's what happened. And it happened whenever the conditions were right, but it was programmed to do that. So, sort of like a computer. And a programmer, the creator. Now, I'm not going to say it was God. I'm not going to say what it was, Big Blue, but it was something. It was, I say, the creator. Okay, so the creator somehow designed elements of the universe to combine in certain ways to form life. But it wasn't random. And when I say random theory of creation, it just means randomly these particles hit each other, but they can only combine in certain ways. And you'd probably listen to this and say, well, you're saying the same thing, like evolution. No, but it's totally different. Because these particles were programmed to combine like that. Somebody put the knowledge or the blueprint in there for that to happen. They weren't accidents. So that theory, random theory of creation, we see around us everywhere on a daily basis. It is random because the particles hit each other and they bounce off each other. They don't know what they're hitting. They don't know where they're going. But once they hit them, they combine because it's predetermined. That's the only way that they can. That's the way it was programmed at that condition in time. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in prebiotic evolution, which is evolution before we were here. I believe in postbiotic evolution. Things change, your hair gets longer, your fingers get, your finger gets longer, your skin might get darker or thicker, our brains might get smaller or bigger throughout, because our bodies can evolve, because we have a wonderful machine here that can evolve to conditions in the environment. When somebody has extremely bad high blood pressure, their heart actually gets big to try to, adapt. But then, of course, that causes a heart attack and death. But, so I'd like to know what you think. What is do you have a theory of how we got here or why we got here? And I'd like to know, do you believe in prebiotic evolution, which is like the cell in the water floating, grew a pair of legs, turned into a frog, a lizard, a person, and we came from monkeys? Do you believe in postbiotic evolution, that whatever was created came about, and then we changed from that point? People got clothes, hair. Some people were black in some parts. It was real hot in Africa climates. Some people weren't, and stuff like that. So you have to really think about that. But I'm going to go one more time on that random theory of creation. The random theory of creation states, what's created now, what's here now, is the only way it could be. It could not be another way in our set of conditions here on Earth. Now, on planet XYZ in another universe, it might be different. But the inherent the design. And divine design is in existence, in material, in life. And it's into the subatomic, submicroscopic, ultra, whatever they make up a terminology, invisible particle. And that is why you are the way you are, the plants do what they are, because it's designed, and who designed it, we never will know. And the only reason we will never know is because we will never, ever, ever be as knowledgeable as where we came from. And that's just the law of, I believe, physics or computers, right? You're always going to be greater than what you make. You make a car, you're greater than it. You make a computer, you're greater than it. You build a house, you're greater than it. But when we go into computers, we have to be very careful, because we'll still be greater than it, but if we make a computer that can be self-aware, then we got a problem, because if we give and there's companies that want to do this, they want to give organic attributes to computers, which means they want to take them and put organic hard drives in them, use proteins, and make these computers. And they've already got some of them, almost like a GPS. A GPS tells you where to go. If you're wrong, recorrect your position. If I'm going and I make a right and I'm not supposed to make a right, it'll say make a left. So it's kind of correcting you, right? But there'll be computers in the future when they become self-aware. They'll make your car go that way. You'll want to go another way, they'll shut your damn car off. See, that is the problem with self-aware, because machines that can be self-aware can control themselves. Now, of course, people will be greater than them. We'll always be greater than them. We'll figure a way, but if we give them too much knowledge, if we build a machine and give it as much knowledge as a human being is, and give it human attributes, like us, our human attributes, that could happen. Because see, the human being is not the ultimate creator. So if we create a computer, it could be on par with us. You know what I mean? We can make a computer that was self-aware and just as smart as us. That's the danger. We can't make something greater than we are. Okay? But we can make something pretty close to what we are. And that's what I really wanted to, very close to what we are, but maybe not exactly. So same thing like with, whatever created matter and put this random theory of creation into rolling. Well, it's very powerful, right? But it'll be able to create something great, but never as great as itself, because it couldn't create something greater than itself, even if it's the ultimate force. Even if you said it was God or Jesus or whatever, yeah, but he would not be able to create himself. So that opens to the book, is there something greater? And there possibly is. And it may still be the same way that we look at matter. We keep going down. We go from, a universe to a galaxy, to a solar system, to a planet, to a compound, to a molecule, to an atom, to quark, all the others, mesons and all that. And they keep going smaller and smaller and smaller and finding smaller and smaller and smaller things. And they're not even the smallest now, because our instruments just can't measure it. And it's probably even smaller. So that's the way it is. There's probably even something greater than where we created us. It's because probably something created him. It is the ultimate, but see, our knowledge, our limited brain capacity, function, we can't think above that. We could think what's equal, our equal, just like our computer could think equal, but it couldn't think probably greater than us. It would keep, you know, and the human mind is pretty powerful. So to say a computer can think like us, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. So we, I believe, could create something almost as perfect as we are. If it becomes self-aware, meaning it can correct its own faults, and it would be very, very close, but it wouldn't be exactly, but it could come close enough to almost taking us over. Because don't forget, there's different levels, even in mankind. You have a very smart person, you have a person that's not so smart. One person goes good on a test, one doesn't do too good on a test. Same person, right? Same capacities, just one person knows a little bit more than the other. And I'm sure there's machines that probably, right now, computers, because we're greater would know more than the one person that didn't know much. Just like on a chess. If you're a real good chess player, nobody's going to beat you, not even a computer. But if you're kind of a weak chess player, a computer probably beat you. That doesn't mean he's smarter than you. That just means he's a better chess player. And yes, it depends on how it's programmed. So you've got to be very careful when you get into that arena. Because I do believe one day we will have error-correcting, self-aware machines. It's right around the corner. And all they have to do is they program the computer, and you get somebody really, really smart, right? Programs the computer and gives the computer the capacity to grow. And if we, and me, I would think if you made an organic computer, it's like take a hard drive made of a protein matrix, okay? Something that as it stores, it communicates, it can build, an organic, something living, rather than just solid state. Because solid state, things that are bits on and off, they don't really ever grow. You have the same amount. I can't see anything growing. But if you have like a new technology, a protein or an organic computer, which actually, as it stores information, can build new protein molecules or something, because if you could store in organic matter, you could store a lot more than you can store in like metal, because then there's less friction, you'll have less heat, you can make things smaller. So if you have some kind of organic material, and then you integrate that with self-awareness and self-repair, because then the machine, if you program it, the program could, the machine, and then of course you'd have to change parts. The processor would have to be organic. That'd be like the same kind of cells that have in a brain. The fluid running through the computer to cool it would maybe not be electrons, would maybe be light or something, or heat. And then, you could have that computer could actually grow and fix itself when there was a problem. I had a bad hard drive. Okay, it's the protein matrix here, we're going to repair that. Keep running. So, I really think we'll see them, but we won't see self-aware computers until they're organic. Because our hardware just does not have enough capability and capacity to do this. Processors get too damn hot, and the amount of calculating technology you would need in there, you wouldn't be able to do it because of the heat. But thanks a lot, and I'm trying to bring a few things up, and this is me just integrating with technology and everything. So answer the question, a common question: why? With the plant and the animal, the CO2 and the oxygen, how could that be an accident? Thanks a lot, guys. That's just my opinion when I'm doing this drive-by. Sometimes I come, on some good conversations, and I hope you enjoy my drive-bys, guys. Let me know if you enjoy them, okay? If you enjoy them, that'd be great. I hope so. And I can't wait to get my friggin' door. If you're ever in southern Florida, I'll let you fire it. It's going to be on its way, and my Glock will be coming back, and I'm going to send my HK-45 out to get more work. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning into my drive-by.